Okay, here we go, the third and final sale video detailing every PSVR game in the PlayStation Indie sale. Remember that this sale ends on March 23rd, so you've only got about a week or so to grab the games you want. A Cyrento for less than $10 with Plus is a great deal, considering it usually retails for close to $40. But price aside, no other game gives you the freedom of movement or range of weapons that Cyrento does. Being able to jump, double jump, wall run, do a backflip, all while firing handguns in slow motion bullet time, and then swap out your gun for a sword, and then do a downward slash as you hit the ground. Yeah, that's what Cyrento's all about. If you're a longtime viewer without Parole, Sea of Memories might have a special place in your heart like it does mine. But that has nothing to do with the actual game, which, although it's kind of fun to sail around and seek out each new puzzle, the puzzles themselves are all the same. You just rotate a mess of objects in the sky until it looks like something, kind of like the Resident Evil 7 shadow puzzles. So if you like those, there's a lot more of them here. Shadow Legend VR is the game we coined the phrase VRAF for, and it's true. Shadow Legend lets you climb, shimmy across ropes, beat horses, and has the most interactive shops we've ever visited in a game. The only thing to keep in mind is the combat is a little flimsy, so the focus here is more on exploration and puzzle solving. And at half price, it's a must-have game. So many of PlayStation VR's wave shooters have been truly terrible, but Shooty Fruity is among the best the genre has to offer. Multitasking is the name of the game here, and you have to perform your duties at a grocery store well in order for more guns to appear. And you'll need those guns to keep you safe from the oncoming waves of giant, oversized enemy fruit. Yep, you heard that correctly. I understand that a lot of people probably like these educational experiences, but Shuttle Commander just doesn't do it for me. Heading into space should be an exciting prospect, but everything looks flat and uninspired. But nothing is as uninspired as the stilted gameplay, which never felt good to me at all. This one's an easy pass. Well, if I thought Shuttle Commander was an easy game to pass on, I should be running and screaming in terror away from Space Explorer VR. Everything about this game is so laughably bad that when I played it live on my channel, I literally couldn't stop laughing at how bad everything was.
What is that?
Roger
There's no
that.
building!
Stand by.
Where's the building?
I defended Space Rift Episode 1 for way longer than I should have. But for good reason. It tries something different with the space genre by focusing more on exploration and mining than combat, which it had as well. But the voiceovers are not only bad, but distorted, and the game just isn't as much fun as I remembered it. Maybe in 2016, when I was desperate for more VR games, I was more forgiving. I highly doubt a $3 discount is going to change anyone's mind about anything, but even at the $10 retail price, Spooky's Jump Scare Mansion is totally worth it. You'll have to make your way through 1,000 rooms in a haunted house, and while a lot of the early scares are just discount cardboard Halloween decorations that pop out at you from walls, what comes next is far more terrifying. Plus it includes 2 pieces of story DLC, totally free of charge. In Squishies, you use dead fish to suck or blow air at round blobs called Squishies to push them to the goal. It's sort of like Marble Madness or Super Monkey Ball, if Marble Madness and Super Monkey Ball were fucking terrible. It's pretty unbelievable that Static was released so close to the launch of PSVR and used a DualShock 4 as creatively as it did. The concept is that your hands are trapped inside a box and the functions of all the buttons, triggers, and analog sticks need to be deciphered in order to solve the box puzzle. It's way better than I just made it sound, I promise. Buy it without question if you're into puzzle games. For $4, Surgeon Simulator is fine, but fine in the sense that popping out eyeballs and cracking dudes' ribs in VR is just so ridiculous. There's only a few surgeries to perform here, and the alien autopsy of the PC VR version got stripped out and never got patched back in. Kids will love the insanity, but I wasn't impressed. For a lot of people, when Synth Riders came to PSVR, it dethroned Beat Saber as the king of VR rhythm games. The mapping was a bit more creative and offered some slightly different options in the music. The only downside is that we're somehow still waiting for the multiplayer update, which really is the best part of Synth Riders. But as far as we know, it's still in the works. Oh, perfect. Games that start with the word "the," alphabetized in the T's. Well, I guess there's no going back now. The Assembly is a slow-paced adventure game that cites inspiration from classic PC adventures. You'll discover secrets about an organization from 2 different perspectives, one that's trying to get in and one that's trying to get out. It won't be for everyone, but if you're patient, you'll be rewarded. And for $5, this is a truly memorable experience. The complete Superhot bundle is a pretty decent deal if you're looking to buy Superhot and Superhot VR, but if you just want the VR version, Superhot VR frequently goes on sale for as little as $10 on its own, which is the only reason I'm ranking this so low on that little scale over there. That said, Superhot VR is awesome, so make sure you grab it next time it goes on sale by itself. The Exorcist Legion VR is divided up into 5 chapters, and having grown up Catholic scared that my soul could be possessed by a demon, this was one of the scariest things I think I've ever played in my life, possibly only second to Resident Evil 7. But let's talk about this sale for a second. If you want to get this game as cheap as you possibly can, and you happen to have PlayStation Plus and live in North America, there's an error you can take advantage of on the store. With PlayStation Plus, the season pass that includes episodes 2 through 5 is accidentally an extra 45% off, making it only $3.74. That means you just need to pick up Chapter 1 for $7, and you'll end up with all 5 episodes for less than a third of the original price. The Guy VR, which was previously known as Suicide Guy, throws you into a series of dreams where you have to find ways to kill yourself and wake yourself up from the dreams. There's a lot of creativity here, but the technical performance is terrible. The game never hits 60 FPS on any platforms, and the controls are a mess too. It's too bad. This one could have been fun. The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners is always in our top 25 discussion when we get to the best 2 or 3 PSVR games ever made. The VR interactions are great, scavenging the post-apocalyptic streets is even more fun than the campaign itself, and the progression system adds a ton of satisfaction while you make your way through the game. It's a survival game, which means it's got a lot more going on under the hood than your typical zombie shooter. Rhythm violence isn't a genre you could associate with too many games, but Thumper absolutely nails it. As a chrome beetle hurtling its way through hell, sometimes you just have to stop and listen to the words that are coming out of your mouth and really just wonder how we all got here. You'll have to time your movements in rhythm to get through the levels and defeat the bosses. Crazy, right? Well, yeah, it is, and the sense of scale is amazing in VR. There's nothing inherently wrong with Time Carnage, but it really does feel like the most basic of wave shooters. There's a ton of weapons to unlock and plenty of variety in the levels, so if you're looking to just kill a bunch of stuff, you'll get some mileage out of your $6. Just don't expect too much. Out of all the educational VR experiences out there, I had the most fun with Titanic VR, although that's not saying a whole lot. Exploring the wreck of the Titanic, seeking out long-lost artifacts, can feel epic, but taking those things back to the lab for investigation isn't nearly as exciting. What year is it? It's 2022 and we still don't have Dash Dash World. Well, with that said, touring karts is still one of our only options when it comes to kart racers, and maybe the only good option out there. It comes with a little bit of the jank you might expect from a budget Ivanovich game, but for $7 or $8, this one will last you for quite a while. There's something I really like about traffic jams. Maybe it's the simple gesture-based controls and how well they work, but whatever I liked about traffic jams, it didn't last long, and after a few levels the novelty wore off fast, and I got kind of bored. But if it looks like your kind of game, $9 does seem like the right price. There's not much to say about Trainer VR because it's not really a game. You sort of just sit around and build model train sets, and that's kind of it. It's okay. I was really excited for Twilight Path. The developer cited inspiration from Spirited Away and The Neverending Story, and when you play the game, you'll see that they wanted to make something like that, but simply weren't able to deliver the charming characters or narrative within the short runtime of the game. Ultra Wings might not look like the prettiest game in town, but it sure plays like the prettiest game in town. I don't think that makes sense. Anyway, you've got a massive world to explore, tons of challenges to take down, airports to discover, and 4 planes to unlock that all control differently. $6 is a great price, plus we've probably got some time to kill while we wait for Ultra Wings too. 2020 was an amazing year for PlayStation VR, but Until You Fall still managed to stand out as one of my favorites. It's a sword-fighting roguelite arcade game that feels practically impossible, but as you progress you'll unlock better weapons, learn the patterns of your enemies, and once you finally take down the final boss, it's one of the most satisfying feelings there is. The follow-up to Job Simulator took us on vacation, and there's a lot more to do here than the original, although some might tell you it's more of a kid's game than the first, and that's probably true. But don't let that deter you. Everywhere you turn, there's another quest or minigame, so those of us with ADD certainly got our money's worth. If you've ever wanted to be a giant city-destroying robot and star in your very own Kaiju Flick, well, sorry, this isn't it. Go play something else. Just really terrible. I'm guessing Wands was probably a great game at the dawn of VR, like before PSVR was a thing and before people cared about full locomotion and stuff. And honestly, I think people would love a game like Wands if they ditched the teleportation, added a better progression system, and a full-fledged campaign. I mean, who doesn't want to be a wizard? The original Windlands was a PSVR launch title, and really showed us what was possible when all the training wheels came off. Being able to run and jump freely wasn't something we saw in many VR games at the time, but Windlands took it to the next level by adding grappling hooks as a major locomotion mechanic. Without enemies or NPCs, these worlds do feel empty, so Windlands 1 is all about exploration. The sequel to Windlands addressed any complaints people might have had about the first by adding 4-player co-op, enemies, bosses, bows and arrows, and NPCs, making it feel like a much more fleshed out game all around. This one's not easy by any stretch of the imagination, but jumping in with 3 friends makes the challenge so much more enjoyable. You've got to hand it to developer Trey Boucher. They went from making Prison Boss, a 3-hour game with no locomotion, to Winds and Leaves, an open world 7 or 8 hour adventure. That said, it's a super slow-paced game about planting seeds, growing fauna, and basically turning a desolate, dry world green again. So if you're in the mood for something methodical and somewhat peaceful, you might find something here. Personally, I enjoyed the first, 3, maybe 4 hours, but by the end I'd certainly had enough. Thank you guys so much for watching. These sale videos are a beast to make, so if you want to see more content like this, please support the channel by subscribing, hitting the like button, and if you're really inclined, support me on Patreon at patreon.com/withoutparolegames.